What's going on, everybody? We're back at it again with another review. Today we're going to be taking a look at SH Figuarts' final battle version, Endgame Thanos. Before we get into it, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that this channel is not for anyone under the ages of 13 years old. Sorry guys, I don't like pushing y'all away. Everyone knows that. YouTube's a little weird. We're going to get into it. Alright, so getting right into it, we've got Thanos in his window. You can see the new sword. There's little pipes sticking out here. You can see that peeking. You can also see another one of his heads. You've got the holographic sticker, letting you know that it's not a knockoff. Package is in its nice dark blue design. Probably more like a purplish for all the Final Battle Edition figures they've got going on now. You got a nice art piece of Thanos. It says Thanos Final Battle Edition. Bandai Tamashii Nations. On the bottom, you got your legalese and readables, barcode. Nice picture of Thanos with the nano gauntlet on. On the side of the box, you've got a picture of faded Thanos looming over, I'm guessing, the Avengers. I've heard if you get all of the Final Battle Edition figures, you've got a little diorama you can make. So there's Thor peeking out there. On the other side, you've got Thanos standing nice and tall in his armor. On the back here, you got some more poses with Thanos. You got the pipe he comes with. You got the sword with the rock you can stand it in. Nice picture of him holding the helmet. Backside of that picture that was on the side here. Big picture of him being able to sit down from that scene where he's waiting for the big three Avengers to come see him. They're really wanting to press that he can sit down this time. So we'll see how that works out. You got a picture of the different options for the nano gauntlets. So that's looking pretty good. I ordered mine from Big Bad Toy Store. When mine came today, it came in a little mailer, which was nice. Protected the box. As for the packaging, package is a lot bigger this time around for anybody who has the original Armored Thanos from Endgame. So there's that. Stands a good bit shorter this time. It's only about, let's say, 3/4 of the size of the box this time around. It's actually even thinner than the box. So, hopefully this guy's got some big stuff to, make use of that big price point. Let's crack her open and see what he's about. Alright, so after cracking Thanos open, we've got a couple things here. You can get a better look at the figure and its accessories here. We've got his extra nano gauntlet pieces, extra hands, nice big pipe for him to sit on, and his new sword. I do want to note that it does come in, it looks like 2 trays for the accessories. And you also have the instruction guide telling you, be careful with the swapping parts, letting you know that the armor pieces are separatable. Let's see. Saying that you can stick his helmet on to the sword while it sits if you take out the piece inside. Telling you to be careful with the joints. Telling you what all it comes with. That the hands move in a certain direction. Telling you to separate the sword before you put it in there. All that good stuff. Alright, so for anyone curious, Thanos actually can sit on his pipe here. But I'm going to be honest right off the bat. There are a couple of nitpicks. So, one of the features that they decided to add to the Final Battle Edition, there you go. One of the features they decided to add to this Final Battle Edition of Thanos is he's got removable armor pieces for his arms. Now, the issue with that is, they don't like to stay on almost at all, especially if you're going to be moving the arm at all. So for the shoulder pieces, there's just a little tiny notch there. Kind of try to masquerade as a hook with, if you can see it, there's a little slot kind of on his shoulder. And if you move it around, we'll see, that's another thing. So his arm comes out easy enough. Let's see if that'll focus here. And I wish that they would just have given us a different arm piece instead of having these armor pieces removable. That way it would have stayed on better, and then you could just swap out the arm pieces since they're on a ball joint, but it is what it is. They look okay, it's just the function's not fantastic. So I guess we'll start off with Articulation, and for that I'm just going to remove these armor pieces. This one likes to stay on a little bit better, but not too much. Let's see if we can get him to stand there. Here's his helmet. I'll get to that when we get to accessories. So for Final Battle Edition of Thanos, his head is on a dumbbell up at the neck, and then his neck down in the torso is also on a joint. So you can have him look up a little bit. He can look down somewhat. It's not fantastic, but it's not terrible. It's acceptable. His head turns a lot better than the other one did. It doesn't really get caught up on the neck piece. To get out of the way, his shoulder pieces this time actually are on little hinge and swivel joints back here, so they can turn in and rotate to kind of do whatever you need them to do to get out of the way. With his armor off, you can get Thanos' arm up that high. There is a butterfly joint inside of his torso. So that kind of moves forward and back. Moves forward more than it does back, so that's not too bad. His arm this time around is on a different kind of joint, so we've got a hinge and swivel joint this time. So it bends a little more than 90. But what's good with this is it actually swivels this time instead of having to rely on the swivel up in the shoulder. So you can actually get him in some better poses for that. His wrists, as always, do extend, so you can have him go forward or up and down, or swivel it around, have it go in and out, and then that'll collapse back in. His legs this time are on the newer style of SH Figuarts joints, so if you can see that in there. There's no longer a drop down, but what this allows you to do is it allows you to kick up that far, kick out a lot more than the older version, or the other version of Thanos did. You can kick back a little bit, but for sitting poses, as you saw, it's much easier to actually get him into a sitting pose this time. Almost missed it. So diaphragm, he can crunch back that far. Doesn't have too much crunch forward. It barely crunches forward at all compared to the other one. It's on the same system of joints that the first one had, so we've got the middle piece with 2 ball joints on each side. For side-to-side posing, it works just fine. But, you know, functionality. His knees, bend at 90. His ankles, I think they're just on a ball joint. But they go back, they go forward. He's got a toe joint. And you can also get him on a rocker. Kind of stiff. So, getting back into it here. For our first comparison, we've got Final Battle Edition with the first edition of Thanos. And as you can see, Final Battle Edition is... his gold is a lot darker, you know, a lot more dulled down. He's actually got... let's not focus there. Battle damage on his shoulders. He's got some cracks on his chest and his shoulder pads. His legs are actually... pretty sure these are reused for the most part, but this new upper torso piece is new. Yeah, he's even got some more scuffs right there. Flipping around to the back. Got some dings and nicks there. So this armor's definitely been worn, as opposed to the nice clean gold of the original. And obviously the biggest difference is the original had, let's get to focus here, the Infinity Gauntlet. And he didn't have any removable heads. He had face plates, but he didn't have any unhelmeted heads like this one has. So this one is right off the bat more accurate because this one does not feature the Infinity Gauntlet like the first one did. Sadly, the first one was a product of concept art before the movie actually came out, So they rushed production. They ended up having the Infinity Gauntlet on his arm. So going back to that nitpick, you can see here the Final Battle Edition with the removable armor pieces on his arms versus them just being molded on. I wish they did something like this with this version and just had it as an extra accessory where you could take the forearms off and swap out the upper arms, but they chose to make them removable so that way you can replicate different scenes. It is what it is. For his boots, he does have new boots, which are more movie accurate. He's got the black painted on his shin pieces here. For the skirts, a lot of people know that for the original Endgame version, people would just flip around this skirt piece because it wasn't actually accurate on the front. But then in the movie, the back also looked like this, so this time around they did fix the skirt piece. Which is nice for them to go back and do. That was kind of a nitpicky thing, but, you know, you want your expensive figure to be accurate towards the movie. So for the helmets here, I'll go ahead and just remove this helmet. Originally, I had thought that the original Endgame's helmet and the Final Battle Edition's helmet were going to be the same piece, just reused, but the Final Battle Edition, let's see if you can see it here, focus, actually has some wear on it. So it's got some scratches here and there. Whereas this one does not. There is a face plate for this helmet, so you'll just separate that in two. And there is, let's see if I can't get it out here. Come on. So there is this piece. Focus, please. That sits inside of that helmet for the ball joint. And what that is, so there's a slot in the face piece, or in the helmet plate, sorry. And there's a little tab, if you can see it, on there. So that slides in, and this is actually what you will slide out when you remove the faceplate that it comes with to hang on his sword like I showed before. So you'll just take the faceplate, put that on there like the original, and then the helmet closes on there like that. So he's got his face in his helmet, still nicely painted. If it'll focus here, you can see his irises and his pupils are painted nice and well in there. That they're digital sculpting. His other head is an unhelmeted gritting teeth head, which I think also looks pretty good. You can actually see his scars painted lightly there. So that looks pretty good. And then, of course, he's got his smiling head on the actual body. For anyone curious, because I know a lot of people were wanting to swap out the faceplates on this helmet, a lot of people wanted the gritting teeth faceplate. So we'll go ahead and try that now. We'll see if the faceplates from the previous Thanos will work with this one. I do want to point out that this new face piece, which is this one right here, is actually darker than the original Endgame face piece, so there is a skin tone difference. It's not too bad, but we will see what works. So, separate this helmet, set it to the side. Here is the original Endgame helmet. So we will try the smiling faceplate. It should work in theory, because if you look on the original Endgame helmet, although the back piece is different, like the armor pieces were different, there's an extra peg for those tabs. This black piece in here is actually the same mold as this purple piece, although the purple piece has a slightly longer peg for the faces and can actually be removed. So in theory, these should fit together. So we'll take the smiling faceplate. It's a little loose on there. Let's see. Okay, yes, so you can take the faceplates from the original Endgame Thanos and put them into the helmet. And I know a lot of people wanted to see the gritting teeth faceplate, so we will try that one next. Take the face, put it in the front part of the helmet, and then just tab them together. And there you go. So it won't exactly match the skin tone, because as you can see it is a little bit lighter, but in certain lighting I think it works out just fine. So that's a nice feature that you can do with that. Set these off to the side here. Another thing that I was personally curious about, so for anyone who has the Infinity War Marvel Legends Thanos from the first 10 years 3-pack, I actually really enjoyed the straight-faced head sculpt on this figure. So I'll let you go ahead and see a comparison between him. They stand almost the same height. The SH Figuarts is maybe half an inch shorter, so it definitely will fit into your Marvel Legends scaling. But I was curious if you could take this head. I'll take this one off here. Hopefully the armor pieces don't come off. And this head just pops right off. Just be a little bit careful with it. I was curious if you could take that head and just kind of set it on there. And that looks pretty good, because what's interesting is the skin tone for that Build-A-Figure is fairly close to the skin tone of the actual final battle figure. It's a little more pinkish, but like I said, in certain lightings, and if you set it up the right way, you can't really tell too much. So I think that looks pretty good. Maybe just get some sticky tack and put it in that ball joint there, and that should set on there pretty nicely. Alright, so Thanos is standing at... Oh, let's get his head back on here. A little bit tough. You want to make sure the ball is aligned. Hold on, I'll use some off-camera strength. Okay, we're back. So, Final Battle Thanos is standing at about 8 inches tall. We're gonna go ahead, and I do want to warn you guys, this video is going to be very, very comparison heavy. I'm going to be comparing probably 30 figures to this SH Figuarts figure, so I will show the accessories, but I do want you guys to know that we are going to get into some heavy comparison territory. I understand if you guys don't want to watch that, it's going to be a long video. First thing we'll compare here, getting into accessories. So here's his new sword, which, as you can tell, is way more movie accurate than the original one is. So this actually looks like a blade compared to the old one, which just looked like he picked up a couple of slabs of metal, sharpened it up a little bit, and started whacking people with it. This new sword is actually a decent bit longer. The grip is rounded, and it splits just in the middle here. Goes together like that, and then you've got the rock you can set it in. It just slots in there. Stands nice and well. Stand that next to him. See, Pretty good. The rock is kind of bland. I mean, it's a decent sculpt, but it's just one color of gray plastic. It's got a decent bit of weight to it for how small it is, so it's not bad. A wash could have gone a long way on this, but, you know. For the pipe, it's actually a pretty good size, but nice sculpt. And as you can see, there actually is sludge in there for the pipes busting. But again, I mean, it's a nice sculpt, but the only thing really with any color to it is the pipe itself. The tree limbs, there's a twig back there too. The rock and the tree limbs are all kind of bland. Again, a wash could have gone a long way. But you get what you get, I suppose. You just kind of expect a little more for a more expensive figure. But, I mean, it's not terrible. It's usable. So, getting into accessories, we'll have a little segue here. So, the set of hands that Thanos comes with out of the box is a set of fisted hands. Then he comes with a set of open gripping hands for if, you know, you want to grab an Avenger's head and throw him out of your way, as a Mad Titan does. And then he comes with a pair of gripping hands for the sword. And for the sword, you just split it apart. Slide it into his hand. Put the sword back together. And there's that. He holds it pretty well. It is kind of loose and a little bit weighty, but we'll get to that in a minute. Slide that back on. He can hold it out somewhat. Sword is pretty weighty. It is a little loose in his hand, but it's not going to fall out or anything, so, you know. Okay, so the last thing that Thanos comes with is actually an extra forearm piece for the Nano Gauntlet. As you can see, has the snapping hand. And the snapping hand is missing the Infinity Stones like it should be. That looks pretty good. The arm is actually got a good wash on it. Looks all worn and beat up. So we'll get that on there. How you get that on there is you just take his arm, and as you saw a second ago, just slides right off nice and easy. Match it up. It's a little stiff to get on there, so just kind of be careful. And there you go. So, Thanos can brag about being inevitable just to be stopped by Tony Stark. He does also have an extra hand for the Nano Gauntlet. And it's actually got the stones picked out on there. If it'll focus. Come on. There we go. There we go. So it's got all the stones on there. Looks good. It's also got that heavy wash. So we'll go ahead and swap that out. So that's what Thanos looks like with the Infinity Gauntlet fist on there, or should I say the Nano Gauntlet. And I do want to point out that the Nano Gauntlet also has the feature where the wrist extends for better articulation and collapses back in. But let's go ahead and segue into our first comparison. So there is the SH Figuarts Nano Gauntlet compared to the Marvel Legends Nano Gauntlet that you can get for your Hulk to put on there. The red does look a lot better. I think the stones have better paint on them. But the Marvel Legends attempt, obviously, it was a good attempt for what we had before. But this being an import and from SH Figuarts, I think it does look a lot better. So we'll go ahead, I'll let you stare at that for a minute while I get the Endgame Hulk ready for a comparison. So, standing next to Thanos is the Marvel Legends Endgame Smart Hulk, which is actually the biggest Hulk figure we have, which is kind of funny. but he also has his Nano Gauntlet on there. Get them back a little bit further. There you go. Sorry guys, I'm still trying to get used to this setup. It's going to be a little weird for a bit. So there's that one. Now, like I said, we are going to be very comparison heavy, so if you guys don't want to watch anymore, this is basically it for the review. The rest of this is just going to be comparisons and then probably final thoughts. So, do as you will. So for our first set of comparisons, we have Thanos with Iron Man Mark 85 and the Iron Spider from the Marvel Legends 2-pack. Get those out of here. For the next comparison, we'll put them with Power and Glory Captain America from Marvel Legends and a kit-bashed Endgame Thor, who doesn't like to stand very much. Come on. There we go. Hopefully in this new wave of Infinity Saga Legends, we're going to go ahead and get actually screen-accurate Endgame Thor for the final battle. But until then, that's just the Build-A-Figure Bro Thor's head on the Infinity War body. Get these ones out of here. So next up, we've got the man who is basically responsible for the snap, Peter Quill, also known as Star-Lord. And we'll put Rocket Raccoon, if he'll stand. And just as a throw-in, we'll go ahead and put in Teenage Groot. So that's how those guys look with him. Next up, we'll do the rest of Tony's family with Iron Patriot and Rescue, or Pepper Potts. And just as a fun little throw-in, since you guys might have seen my last video, here he is with the Mafex Homecoming Spider-Man. So, Peter has plenty to be afraid of in this battle, considering he's so tiny compared to the Mad Titan. We'll go ahead and get them out of here. Now, next up, coming up on Thanos' left, we've got the Falcon and Bucky. Come on, Sam, you know you want to stand up. You're new Captain America. You got something to be proud of. Let's see if we'll get him to stand here. Alright, he's a little back heavy. We'll just take his pack off. And he wants to fight me. We'll get that in a second. There we go. There's Falcon and the Winter Soldier compared to Thanos. Get them out of here. Continuing with the Disney Plus TV show's trend of comparisons, we'll have The Vision and Scarlet Witch, who, if you guys remember, Thanos was so terrified of, he ended up bombing his own men just to get away. Get them out of here. Next up, let's get some Wakandans in here. So here he is with Marvel Legends Black Panther and with the energized suit. There we go. We'll get some more Wakandans in here with Shuri. Uh-oh. Hold on. So standing there, we've got Black Panther with Shuri and Okoye compared to Thanos. Next up, we have Loki and Heimdall. The first two kills of Thanos on screen in Infinity War. So we'll go ahead and get them out of here. Next up, we have Hawkeye or Ronan and Natasha. Come on, Clint, stand up. There we go. So that's how those two look next to Thanos. Get them out of here. Next up, we'll do some more powerful beings. We've got Doctor Strange and Captain Marvel. And for anyone curious, that is just the Infinity War Captain America's hair put on the Captain Marvel head sculpt. Go ahead and get those out of here. So we'll do some bigger characters. We've got the Build-A-Figure Giant Man. Let's see if I can't get him up frame. So that's Giant Man with Thanos. And then we've also got regular size man, Scott Lang. And the Wasp. Table's not very even today. There we go. And the Wasp. So we'll get those guys out of here. Next up, we have Mantis, who was able to subdue Thanos on Titan until Star-Lord decided to punch him in the face. And Drax, the man who committed his whole life just to have vengeance against Thanos. So there's how those two look. As a bonus, there is Valkyrie and M'Baku. And next we have the Daughters of Thanos with Gamora and Nebula. Nope. She doesn't like to hold that gun. Let's see. There we go, that's better. So there's Thanos with his two daughters, Gamora being his favorite, which he always loves to rub in Nebula's face. Bad dad. Not a good man. Getting into some newer territory with the Fox X-Men, here is Thanos with his actor, Josh Brolin, as Cable. And here's Deadpool, who's astonished to have them duplicated next to him. And to keep Deadpool and Cable in check, here he is with the movie Logan. So, closing out the video, here's Thanos with the Black Order. Final thoughts, I know I kind of nitpicked a lot in this video, but overall, honestly, I think the figure is a really good figure. The price point could be a little lower, considering that the diorama pieces don't really even have a lot of paint on them, and that the armor pieces are a little annoying, but I understand what they were going with. And overall, I think the figure is great, honestly. I like it a lot. I got mine from Big Bad Toy Store, like I said before. Hope you guys enjoy the video. I know it's a long one. Stay safe, everybody.